again. I dare you. I double dare you, mother.
Get busy living. You get busy dying.
Open the pod bay doors, Hal.
You're gonna need a bigger boat. And here we go.
All right, welcome back to another episode of the Cinema Cult Podcast. I'm your host, Cody Maloof. With me, as always, my co-host, Dante Troina. What are we doing today, Dante?
Trailers bonanza. We're getting some really cool marketing campaigns, some different durations of trailers, some long 2.5 minute, like giving you the whole gist of the movie, getting some under 1 minute teasers, get some marketing on the internet as well as social media marketing. A creative year ahead of us, I hope, by the looks of these trailers. So we're just gonna break it all down and talk about what we're excited about.
Yeah, I think we got a lot of really cool trailers released recently, so lots to talk about for sure. I think let's just talk about the one that we both want to talk about together right up front, which is
All right.
Fantastic Four.
All right.
Let's just get that out of the way. Let's start off with, I think, the big trailer that came out this past
Yeah,
weekend.
very much so.
What do you got?
Just where do you start? Like, you can joke about it was fantastic and all this crap, but like, dude, this was a great trailer. I think beforehand I was on board in optimism's sake for this movie. And now I feel it as a film and as a Marvel committing to making the Fantastic Four great, making it different, making it something new for the Marvel Cinematic Universe. I'm completely on board. I don't think I was ever off the ship or deviating path. I was just kind of like, okay, it'll come out, and I hope it's good. And now I hope it's great. Like, my hopes have skyrocketed up for this movie. As soon as I saw the Silver Surfer too, that was a trailer changing experience. Like, that changed my whole opinion of the film, and in a great way. I think she looks terrifying in a really cool way. And I'm just curious to see how they characterize a lot of the world around the Fantastic Four, because I think they have the world set in a really good place. I've went from reading a lot of Daredevil comics to going straight headfirst into some Fantastic Four comics. I'm going to be all read up by the time this movie comes out, and I cannot wait.
Yeah, I think this was the trailer we were kind of waiting for when we were talking about our anticipated movies. We had the first trailer, which was more of a teaser, more of just like, here are the characters, here's the world, here's kind of what the characters look like, but it's not anything in the way of plot or anything big like, Galactus or really any like extended like look at anything. So this was the trailer that gave us a little bit of plot, even though really not that much, but we did get something here as far as who these characters are in this world, how do they fit in. It's been talked about that this is not the mainline MCU, whatever is it, 616 or whatever the number of our main MCU universe. This is an alternate universe. So obviously the big question of this movie is how are we going to get these characters to the other universe, but that's not what we're talking about here. This trailer, it showed us, I think, a lot of really cool stuff, though. We had, I saw a lot of discourse about the Thing kind of towing the ship behind him, and people saying that's like an obvious crib from Man of Steel, which I don't really think it is. I think it's just the Snyder fans,
right? Yeah,
right, being just like
just looking for anything. They're
exactly
crazy.
The Snyder fans will always just do their thing, and
That was awesome.
insane.
That was a great shot.
Yeah, that was really cool. I think the Thing, that was the big thing for me in this trailer. The big thing was the Thing. I think he's a really cool character. He's probably my favorite character of the Fantastic Four, maybe maybe Human Torch, but I think if you don't nail the Thing as far as even just how he looks, the movie's really going to be off to a shaky start. And I think he looked really good in this. You can't really go with the same version that you had in the previous two movies. Like the CGI, this is obviously like a CGI version of the character. We saw him a little bit in the first trailer, but I think this showed us a lot more.
He looks great.
Right. We got to see him move and talk and kind of act. And I think he looks really good. It's not the rubber suit, or it's not the prosthetics that we were having in the original Fantastic Four movies. It's not the super dark and kind of weird looking CGI from the second version of the Fantastic Four. It's looks like it's somewhere in between. But yeah, that was my big takeaway. What else you got for us?
Yeah, you're right. I think it looks comically spot on, which is what you got to do with a character he's loved very much by comic book fans too. I think he's one that just has a good sentimental value. if you don't like him, you're just kind of wrong. He's just such a likable
Right.
character. So you got to nail him, I think, out of all of them. Um, I really like just the little choices between the characters because I think the Fantastic Four is a weird double-edged sword where Reed Richards needs to be great for them to be great, and he needs to be kind of the propeller of the plot. Like he needs to move the story forward, and his brain and his dilemma of constantly trying to save the universe and overcompensating with his brain. Um, but you really need Vanessa Kirby's Sue Storm to be great as well and be the heart of the family, and Johnny to serve his different purpose and round out the family in a comedic way, and the Thing to be the rock, right? But I like that Sue Storm answers the Silver Surfer when she said, "Are you this Earth's protectors?"
Mhm.
And she's the one that answers, "Yes, we are." As a motherly instinct almost. So I think that showed me just with that line of her being the one that answered, that shows me that I think they really get the characters already. I hope the movie is like that it does nail the characters on that aspect. I'm a little lukewarm on Johnny Storm. I think Joseph Quinn's a pretty talented actor. I haven't seen much yet, and I don't need to be all the way on him to be seeing this movie. I'm going to see this movie, and I don't need to be all the way on him to enjoy this movie either. But I would love it if I had four Fantastic Four members that I really loved. I think for whatever the other movies are worth, I think the Human Torch was always done pretty well in those movies, more or less.
I agree.
I rewatched The Rise of the Silver Surfer this week, and
Okay.
it's bad. No matter what the nostalgia glasses will tell you, like
Uh-huh.
because people are trying already to be like they'll never make a better Silver Surfer than the pretty easy layup.
Yeah.
Johnny Storm has a line in that movie where he says, "It's like this silver thing, and it's some kind of surfer." And I was like, "Oh my God,
What are we, some
just
kind of
awful,"
suicide
right?
squad?
Or like, say that again. It's
Uh-huh.
fantastic.
Right, right.
So I just we are desperate for a good Fantastic Four movie. I think I was again on the ride because I was hoping that it was good. I think the first trailer was pretty cute. This trailer told you about the real stakes, and I think the time is ticking on this universe that they're in. And Reed Richards
Yes.
saying, I don't know if we can save you or if are we in danger? How do we defeat it? Whatever the line is before that, and him saying, I don't know.
Hmm.
Like giving a truthful answer there is really interesting. I'm kind of bought into Pedro Pascal as Reed Richards. I think like fine. Like I can agree with the people who think he's over placed in things right now, but he's in this and he'll be in the Eddington trailer that we talk about. And he'll be in The Last of Us that we talk about. But I'm bought into him as Reed Richards. I think it's stupid that people are already, oh, he doesn't look real when he's stretching. Like, yeah, nobody will ever look real when they're
Right.
stretching. Like he is stretching. That is not that is not real. There's no way to make it look good. It doesn't compute in our brains. So just let him be a stretchy weirdo looking guy. Like, all right, he's not like Elastigirl looks great. Yeah, Elastigirl's in a cartoon. So
I
what are
didn't think
we?
it looked bad though. I thought it
No, I
looked
don't
fine.
think so
That's not
either.
something that jumped out to me at all. So I'm
Right,
not
and
worried
it
about that.
it will always look like CGI too, no matter what, because
Well, yeah.
it's CGI. Like I love the comment where they're like, "Why couldn't they just use practical effects?" Like as a joke, comment like, "Why
Oh,
couldn't they just do it the old-fashioned way?"
uh-huh.
Just make Pedro Pascal stretch like that. But yeah, just fully bought in. I think they nail the tone. They have a very clear direction. That music, as corny as it is, I think Giacchino did a good job with the score. And that Fantastic
Yeah.
Four, like you can tell they're very proud of this property and they want to make it great. And if you portray that throughout your film, I think you're going to get a pretty good film. So I'm fully bought in now after this trailer. I'm there opening night. I would already have been there opening night because of my love for these characters, but this just showed me another level and raised the hype for this movie for me.
Yeah, I was just happy to see more of the world that they're actually going to be inhabiting. And we're going to
Yeah,
get a different version of this world protected by superheroes, right? And where the Fantastic Four are the only superheroes in
they're
this
beloved.
retro futuristic kind of late 50s, early 60s, I guess, kind of world
Yeah,
that they're in here. I'm talking about retro futuristic because there's nothing really futuristic in it besides the superheroes. It's just straight up retro.
yeah,
So yeah, I the other big thing for me was Sue Storm being confirmed to be pregnant. I think that was
Right.
speculated early on. I think we all kind of figured that was going to be happening anyways, but we got it confirmed here. So yeah, Silver Surfer looking cool, looking pretty
Looks really cool.
silvery, and definitely riding the surfboard.
Surfery, so
Yeah, looked pretty cool. So
looks like a Silver Surfer.
and then we get Galactus at the end, like we get his big ass foot like stomping through New York City. Um,
Yeah.
it'll be interesting to see how they render Galactus as just some giant dude. Obviously, he's like way bigger
Huge.
than that though, right? Like he's
Right. Yeah. Oh,
cosmically
huge.
big when he's in space. So if it's just
Can
like a
actually just eat a planet with
right,
his actual mouth, right? Just swallow it.
right. So
Like,
this is like him projecting a version of himself down onto Earth, or it'll be really interesting to see what they do with that because the comics certainly are the comics and they can do whatever they want. It's a lot easier to get away with stuff like that. But Rise of the Silver Surfer,
yeah, you're not
Galactus
limited by a
was
budget.
yeah, Galactus was just a big cloud in the Silver Rise of Silver Surfer. They did not want to even try to do Galactus properly, which I guess makes sense, right? Because
Oh.
how do you render a giant cosmic being
Right.
moving through space and eating planets? So that will be the big thing for me in this movie too. That's one of the big things that stood out in the trailer was what are they going to do with Galactus?
Yeah, I like the miniature set that they have there. It's obviously a miniature,
Hmm.
but just the way it's shaking when he's walking, like, all right, he's as big as I think we're gonna get him for this movie. Like, dude, you're not limited in a comic, you're not limited by a budget. You're only limited by how well the artist can draw. And Fantastic Four throughout the years has been Marvel's flagship title since 1961. And so they haven't been limited by much. They've had some great artists, starting with Jack Kirby, who is one of the best to ever do it. So you're limited by a camera and limited by a budget. And so I'm okay with them making him approachable size wise. Um, but I think it would be so cool if they made him like the Celestial in the Eternals, where it
Mm,
just comes, it's humongous in that movie, right? And I
yeah.
think they could do a bit of that with him, but that's a nitpick at the end of the day. Like, you just need to give me a good story with Galactus and make him a tangible threat. He has to be big to some extent, but what's the difference between him being humongous and outstandingly humongous? Like, at the end of the day, if we're scared by him, we're scared by him. So people can nitpick all they want about that kind of stuff, but as long as I feel a real threat and real stakes with him, that's what I need to feel through the screen. And that's what I think they're really trying to portray in this trailer. So well done. I had a good time with this. I love the shot of Johnny Storm clinging off the surfboard and floating down. I like that we got a little bit of context for why he's going back down to Earth. I think that's just an awesome shot. This looks like a movie too, like color
Hmm.
grading wise and shot wise, like
Right. It,
composition
it
and
it does look
like
pretty colorful and
like
vibrant
film
and
stuff.
it's not doesn't have that weird kind of Marvel haze on it that some of the other recent Marvel movies have had.
Right.
Not all of them, but just some of them. Yeah, I mean, I think the practical set thing is a really good indicator. I think hopefully, and also that this goes for the Thunderbolts, recent promo for the Thunderbolts.
Right.
Um, I think Marvel has heard all of the noise and all the complaining about this all just looks like it was shot in like someone's basement or in like a cupboard,
Right.
like Ant-Man and the Wasp, I think was the big, or not Ant-Man and the Wasp, but sorry, Ant-Man Quantumania, I
Yeah, yeah.
think really kind of started where those voices got really loud. I think they had been talking for a little while already up to that point, but those voices really got loud after Quantumania, where it's like
Yeah.
this was all like shot. None of these actors were in the same scene as anyone else,
Right.
like this was all just like not like done with any sort of like real craft in mind. So I think they've heard that criticism, and I think this might be indicative of that. Galactus being on a miniature set, a lot of this looking real, like looking like there was time and craft put into it, like it's
Like
real props and special effects and sets and not just all green screen.
almost like a director's vision. Like,
Right.
truly, it looks like it was Matt Shackman's Fantastic Four, which is funny because John Watts was the one who was originally tasked with this movie. And no hate to John Watts, I just think his movie would be what you just talked about, would be, just that little thing that you can nitpick at the CGI or nitpick at the sets, or it's not fully rendered as a vision, or it's overly reliant on nostalgia, CGI, whatever you want to mix in there to tighten up or strengthen up the story. And I think this movie looks like it's very confident to tell its story as well, which is really cool to see for a Marvel movie because I think they've relied so much post Endgame on the pointing at the screen and the clapping in the theater. Like they've tried really hard to make those moments to a point where it's not natural anymore. And this looks like a superhero movie, for God's sakes, but it looks like a film as well. And I think we've been missing like real superhero movies that give us like a stake and something to overcome and a team to believe in. And we've also been missing like a film element to superhero movies in Marvel, especially recently. And so if they can just marriage, have a nice marriage of both those worlds with Fantastic Four, like you can't ask for a better coming out party for Marvel and just reintroducing themselves to the world through Fantastic Four, which just makes sense. So my hopes are sky high now for this movie. I'm really excited for it. I think a job well done on the trailer, and if the movie is what this trailer is, it's going to be a great movie.
Yeah, yeah, I think it's definitely gotten us like more excited now. We were
Yeah.
already excited for this movie, but even more so. So, yeah, that's all I've got on Fantastic Four. But really
Yep.
good trailer. Happy to have it. Hopefully, we don't get any other trailers. We'll probably get at least one more little
Yeah.
teaser, kind of an add-on to this one. But yeah, I don't need to see anything
Don't
else.
show me much more. Yeah, I don't need to hear about the plot, anything like that. Don't show me much more. You want to get into the next Pedro Pascal? Just go for the round table of Pedros here, going to Eddington.
Sure, sure, yeah. Yeah, Eddington, this trailer came out a few days ago. It's for the new Ari Aster film. I'm glad we got to see something of this movie because this is one that I've been thinking about a lot since I heard that it was coming out this year. I've been really waiting to see what this was going to look like at all because reading the synopsis, you don't get much of an idea of what this movie is going to
Yeah,
be. Kind of the same thing with his other movie, his last movie, Beau is Afraid, where the synopsis is one thing, but the movie is a whole different thing,
you
right?
won't believe it till you see it.
Right, and the trailer for that movie was the same. It set the tone and let us know to an extent. Obviously, that movie was truly insane, so the trailer could not have really told you what it was going to be. But it gave us enough to kind of start to figure out what this movie is going to feel like. Eddington, the same way. This is obviously a movie that is going to be very referential to our current times. It starts off with talk of conspiracy or fringe theories and relating to COVID and all that kind of stuff. We get Tom Hanks,
Yeah,
at his birthday or whatever. I mean, we get all sorts of stuff
first
thrown
celebrity
in.
to get COVID. Yeah,
Right. So that's what this movie's gonna be. It's gonna be kind of a satire skewering of um all the different types of people, all the different personalities I think that emerged during the 2020 pandemic and also all the crazy like online culture that has stuck with us since then and the I don't know, just all the weird stuff that we've been getting COVID and post COVID. I think this movie's going to tackle a lot of it.
it was really fun to like and creative to see the trailer as somebody scrolling on their phone
Hmm.
and seeing all this stuff. Being isolated, being inside. Um, this movie is the first real attempt at a COVID movie like this. I mean, we got Knives Out, Glass Onion, which is kind of set, but it's not at
Not
all
no, no.
like taking COVID to this extent in a movie. So I'm really curious to see how they try and pull this off because I'm sure it will be very divisive. I'm also sure it won't be seen by the masses that much because it is an Ari Aster, small produced movie. I just think this will hit well for film fans. And out of the four real cast members that we saw there, Austin Butler, Sheriff Joaquin Phoenix, Pedro Pascal, and Emma Stone, who are you most excited to see from this trailer?
That's a good question. Maybe Austin Butler. I liked what he was doing. Austin Butler's on a real
Yeah,
roll.
yeah,
And he seems like he's some sort of like cult leader almost,
right.
right? He's kind of tapping it. He's like some sort of
Like Once Upon a
online,
Time type thing.
yeah, religious cult, pseudo religion cult guy. He's just gonna, I'm sure, be full of shit and just convincing
Right.
people of all sorts of crazy stuff, but being really charismatic. And the first thing I thought of when I saw
Yeah.
this was Tom Cruise Magnolia, Frank T.J. Mackey, kind of sort of a same vibe. We only get a little bit of it, but it's Austin Butler. It's one
We
of
got
our
enough.
movie stars, kind of doing that sort of same thing. So that'll be interesting to see. But everyone, I think,
Right.
is going to do well. Joaquin Phoenix coming back again to work with Ari Aster, so obviously he thought there was something here. Emma
Yeah.
Stone is amazing, is all in everything. So I think maybe we'll get shades of Emma Stone from The Curse, where she's doing a really kind of I don't know how to describe it, like a just like what a satirical kind of performance
Okay.
where she's
Yeah.
being very frontwardly like cheery and almost to like an extent that you think something's wrong with her, and but also like obviously she's working on something completely different in the back of her head. So yeah, Ari Aster, we're in it. I'm in it for whatever he's gonna do. I feel like he's always just making them for us. You know, they say there's a
Yep.
one for us, one for them sort of thing. You know, one for them, one for us. He's only doing stuff
All
for
for
us.
us.
Right. So that's
Yeah.
you got to respect it.
Yeah. I think, yeah, this is a trailer where uh, you just get enough. You get the tone. We didn't get a lot of anybody, but we got enough of all of them. I think Pedro's going to do his Pedro thing. He's just going to
Hmm.
turn the charm on, and that's where he's at his best, where he can just be this charismatic guy through the screen. But Emma Stone has great charisma as well, as does Austin Butler. Joaquin Phoenix, not as much charisma, but it's a different kind of acting that he's usually doing. Um, but Austin Butler is what I really take away from this
Hmm.
trailer. I think his character just looks hysterical and just throws a little curveball into this movie, maybe, where it could be not at all cliche because it's Ari Aster, but it could be kind of your characters that you expect in a movie like this, and then you get this guy thrown into the movie, and he might have 10, 15 minutes on screen but steal the whole thing. So I'm really excited for him to take the next step, I think, with this movie.
Yeah, not much else to say about Eddington other
That's where
than
I'm at. Yeah.
um, yeah, going to be really interesting to see what this ends up being, how it's going to tackle all the COVID stuff and all the crazy times that we've gone through recently. If anyone can do it, it's Ari Aster. It's going
Yeah.
to be, I'm sure it's going to be really funny and very quick-witted and like super sharp and cutting and satirical. Um, yeah, I'm ready for it. What Was Afraid was an absolute acid trip that I liked, but have not watched it again just because it's
Yeah,
so
not
much.
not on the top of the revisiting list for sure.
No, so I wonder what Ari Aster's going to do if he's going to try to go. I don't know about more commercial, but at least more digestible for like general
It has
audiences.
to be, right?
It can't be. Yeah,
It
exactly. I
can't
don't.
not be. I really like his real world when we see it in films. I think like the stuff that we see outside of the core family and Hereditary, like just the way he portrays the real world, there's something really tangible and like very real to it. Um, in Midsummer, the beginning of Midsummer, I just like the feel of the world in that movie. And then obviously we get, the 2 hours and 30 minutes with the cult in Sweden. But the American portion of that movie in the beginning, I think just feels like something that feels so real. And I'm curious to see how satirical he might be on COVID, because he's a funny guy as well, is what something we talked about off pod is like Ari Aster's got a sense of humor, no matter what
Absolutely.
kind of sense of humor it is, maybe a little morbid, but he has a sense of humor and he will make us laugh in the theater. And I wonder which character will get the most laughs, but yeah, like I said, or like you said, sorry, not a whole lot to say more than that. Just that I'm glad to get a look at it and just get a picture in my mind for what this movie will be because it just only benefits me just seeing a little bit before going in. I think this might be all I want to see of this movie as well. I think I might want to go in completely blind to this one and just be shocked by the movie.
Yeah.
Sticking with another short one, we had today actually, just a couple hours ago, the Weapons teaser, Zach Kreger's new movie. Um, just cool marketing. We had a couple days ago, it was going on Twitter about kids disappearing and stuff. I saw some videos about that. And then today we had basically what seemed like a phone call in the trailer between, or a conversation between characters in the
Hmm.
trailer with the kids running out and just creepy kids running across the lawn, putting their arms out, being as creepy as running kids could be in the middle of the night. And then we got a website, which we did some investigating on after the end of the trailer, and I just love marketing like this. I love any chance you can get to do outside of a trailer. I am there for. I love when Smile 2 had the people smiling at the World Series behind home plate. Just viral marketing campaigns that push the boundaries, I think is really cool. Do more than just a trailer. Make your movie stand out. How many horror trailers do we get every year that just feel similar or one and the same? And you know, not a lot of common audiences know who Zach Krager is, or that it's
Right.
going to be this higher level of horror film, or at least we expect that. And so doing the extra mile there, I think really goes a long way for this movie, and hopefully we'll get some people even more interested as they see the little teasers.
Yeah, I really hope the viral marketing campaign for this movie works because it would be really fun if this movie did well at the box office for
Yeah,
everybody. I can't remember off the top of my head how Barbarian did, if it ended up doing pretty well at the box office or not, but I feel like that movie had a lot of really good word of mouth in, what was it, 2022 when that movie came out?
yeah,
I feel like that movie had a lot of really great word of mouth that year. And a lot of people sought it out because of that in the theater, me included. So hopefully this movie can replicate that and do well. I love viral marketing campaigns like Blair
yeah.
Witch Project, going all the way back to that, or even
Right.
something more recent like The Dark Knight. All the Nolan Batman films had viral marketing campaigns.
Something. Yeah.
Um, and I just love it, to end with a website to take you to let you go explore a little bit more about the movie. And it's just, I'm looking at it right now, it's just like a blog post about 17 local children leaving homes
Right.
simultaneously at 2:17 a.m. A chilling mystery has gripped the small town of Maybrook after 17 children voluntarily left their homes Wednesday morning. And just some blog posts about that, some related video clip stuff we saw in the teaser.
Right.
um great stuff. That's the premise of this movie, right? Like the synopsis on Letterboxd says an interrelated multi-story horror epic that revolves around the disappearance of high schoolers in a small town. I think this is more than just high schoolers. I think you might have to amend that to, because
Right.
it looks like a lot of the kids in this
Go a little
clip are
younger.
are younger
Definitely
than high
younger.
school age. So I don't think high schoolers is necessarily just applicable. Probably just kids of all different ages, randomly all disappearing at the same time in a small town. So yeah, really creepy, really effective. I think really good for just building hype and giving us something to grab onto here, because before that's all we had was the synopsis and the knowledge that Zach Kreger, the mind behind Barbarian, was doing this movie, which is enough to get us hyped already. But it's nice to see a trailer, in this case, just a little teaser, something for us to have that's tangible and that we can actually talk about.
Right. And interact with your fans and
Hmm.
grow a fan base and grow a demand for your movie. The Joker doing his scavenger hunt campaign for The Dark Knight, before it came out, balloons being popping up everywhere, right? The
Hmm.
red balloons. And even like I think hip hop artists do this great all the time, where they're like, we have pop-up shops, or like secret show tonight. J. Cole's performing his new album a week before it comes out. Secret show for KOD. I remember those coming out, and people, obviously it's all fans when they come out. That was the best J. Cole album ever. And like, you can only get good word of mouth by doing this. I think it's something that more people should do, or more studios should do, because it's just such a like, I just feel like it can't go wrong. Like these little campaigns just seem, just put it together reasonably smart and people will buy into it. So I just like this. I like this approach. I remember JID putting out his album in different coordinates, and the coordinates meant something to him. Like, this is where my first studio was. This is the first song I recorded about this person was here. And he would just put out his CD like a week before and drop the coordinates online. It's like, that's so awesome. Like, give your fans something to engage with, to be fun about. We just had the Batman as well, another Batman marketing campaign,
Mm,
with the El Rata Alada
hmm.
.com as well, and dropping different files about the movies and different issues of comics and tying in source material with this. Obviously, Weapons doesn't have the benefit of having this vast, rich source material, but
I think we're
it
going to
works to
create
their
some here.
advantage in this, right? They're going to create some, and they're going to make it more than a movie. And again, I'm bought into Kreger's career. This makes me so much more excited for Resident Evil down the line again, because I just see what kind of brain is behind this. Barbarian was a great movie. I watched it in an Airbnb the first time I watched it, not knowing what it was about. So that was a
Full
very
immersion.
interesting, right? Full immersion, very interesting experience. And weapons. Luckily, neither of us have kids that'll be running around our neighborhoods. I think, hopefully,
I don't think so.
but we'll see, right? Like
Now
this
that
is
would be some viral marketing.
right. Just um, but yeah,
Yeah.
just really cool. I think more so than just the teaser, which was a fine little teaser, a 45-second teaser, just showing that they're fully committed behind the movie to differentiate themselves to the kind of overly saturated, like what scares people in this day and age. We've seen so much scary
Mhm.
stuff in movies, so you got to capture immersion before the movie even starts and capture a buying in feeling before the movie starts because that makes the next scare that much scarier because it's that much more real or relatable to you. So I'm really impressed just by just the little bit of footage and marketing that we've gotten. Put weapons on my radar, which I didn't know. I thought he was going straight into Resident Evil, and
Mm.
now knowing that he's doing something in between is a cool little stopgap, and he's making it more than a stopgap. So good for him.
Yeah. I think this is like really cool way to market this movie, and I hope that we get more added to this website. I did sign up.
Yeah,
There's a sign up spot
right,
where you can
right.
sign up for more info, and I definitely put in my name and email address. So if anything else
That's how
happens
they get you.
in the town of Maybrook, if there's um any more revelations, any more developments by now and when this movie comes out, I will know about it.
My goodness, I just got tagged in a Facebook post because I've been commenting on our local theater's Facebook about Sinners.
They're just
They
reply to
have
you.
they have not brought Sinners here, and I've been DMing them on Instagram, leaving
I have
comments
been
on their
I have
website
been lucky enough to see Sinners. You have not, so I know
3 times.
you're
You
starving.
ass.
I've seen Sinners 3 times in IMAX. If I just
Um,
have to flex real quick, what's
they are
her
hoping to secure a print, hoping early May.
a print?
So,
A
hoping,
print?
a print of
They're not
Sinners.
showing this movie
So,
on film. There is
are
no
we
print
showing it in film?
necessary.
Are we? So, I'm
No.
gonna comment back IMAX question mark
The hell no. Are you
to them.
kidding me?
But hoping early May. So I got,
Early May. So
Jesus,
maybe
when's early May? So maybe by like
yeah,
Memorial Day.
right.
Early May means late May
Yeah.
after Thunderbolts. So
Maybe
who the
with
hell
Thunderbolts.
knows? But
Well,
good
it is
God,
coming. So yeah, I know
I am starving.
we haven't talked about Sinners yet. We're gonna have to wait to talk about it. I'm not gonna say anything, but fuck
They
yeah, baby.
miscalculated that one. I can't believe they brought Woman in the Yard
Insane.
over Sinners.
Insane.
Where I'm at, we have two movie theaters, or sorry, one movie theater, two screens. So we get very limited releases sometimes, and they were slacking on Sinners. I can't believe
Insane.
they were sleeping on this. We're getting a print in early May, baby. We got good
There's
news.
no print coming. It's on a thumb drive. It's on a flash drive or a hard drive or something, right? There's no way a print. Get out of here. They don't even show. They don't have film projectors. Everything's
I could
digital there.
comment back like, "Don't do that. Don't give me hope." Of the Hawkeye gift. Like, don't make promises you can't keep, man. All right, sorry for the
That's
detour, but
okay.
that
Okay.
just it's been a week. I've been commenting. They
Yeah.
finally responded to
Glad
this,
they got
so
back to you.
thank God.
Okay, I think let's move on to him. This new
Yeah,
trailer we got for this movie that I did not know much about. I had heard a little bit about this movie. I knew that it was coming up, but I didn't really pay much attention to it. The only reason I even kind of knew anything about it is because Jordan Peele is producing it, not directing
right,
it.
right.
I saw
That's
it
why both of us knew anything about it.
exactly. So we finally got a trailer for that. Um, Pretty interesting. This I think was besides weapons. And that was a
It's
teaser that doesn't
chaotic.
really count. This was, I think, the most trailer that we got in a way, like
Yeah,
the most trailer, like the in the sense of it's telling us the most about what's going on in this world. It's a movie that I knew nothing about. And there's a lot going on here. I think it was the most
oh, it's
interesting to me,
hectic.
for better
Yeah,
or worse. It's essentially the story of this guy who's trying to become, I guess, a NFL quarterback or a NFL player, looked like quarterback.
I thought so. Yeah,
And he's like I'm guessing he's a college prospect. He's a highly touted college prospect going into the draft, trying to become a pro. And the trailer starts off with showing his grind, and you think it's kind of just gonna
it looks
be
like an Under Armour commercial at the
exactly. It does look
start,
absolutely it does.
like a
And,
good one,
yeah,
but
it does look like an
like an Under
Armour
Armour
commercial.
commercial.
And you kind of think it's just this story about this guy who's trying to become an NFL player. And then it flips to some sort of, I think there's some cult connotations going on here. I think the idea is this quarterback, this prospect has to sacrifice something in order to really truly attain this
Right.
greatness, right? To this cult or this demon or this coach that is coaching him and this trainer guy. Pretty interesting idea. I'm definitely gonna see this now. So they
Right.
got me.
Yeah, I mean, you got me at Jordan Peele being
Mm,
attached to it
hmm.
was the first. That's the first got me, but the trailer was just felt unique enough throughout it. I really like the music in it. I think the music was cool, like a mix of that triumphant football player type music that you'd want from a movie like this, while having those horror hints when the horror stuff crept in. It seemed like a pretty normal trailer until just the little goat figure popped in the
Right.
back and it cleaves him. Like, all right, let's see what we're on board for. I don't have much to take away from this trailer because it didn't, in a really cool way, it didn't give me much. It just showed me like there's a lot going on here. Uh, Marlon Wayans is his coach, it
Yeah,
looks
I
like,
love
his
Marlon
personal
Wayans,
trailer.
so I'm glad to see
So
him.
just yeah, pretty cool to see him in a movie upcoming. I hope this does a something good for his career right now. Not that he's in huge need of it. I think he's happy being with where he's at, but I think it's just cool to have people have good things happen for him career wise. So I'm all about that. I don't have a huge take on this trailer because uh I wasn't able to gather a lot about this trailer, and I think that's what it wants you to do. It wants to show you like there's stuff going on, but it does not want you to know whatsoever what's going on. I wonder if there's going to be some sort of I hope they don't cheap out and do a message about CTE. I
Oh,
think
interesting. Well,
it
because
was
that's what I was
going there with
thinking
some of
when
the X-ray
the
type
shots
shots.
of the two heads colliding, right?
You'd
Um,
have to get that
I
uh
don't know.
you'd have to nail that message really well, I think, but that's also something we have to see in the movie depending on which direction it goes.
I also two names I want to say here. One directed by Justin Tipping. That's the director
Right.
behind this project. Someone who I don't know hardly anything about. Have not seen any of the other
Poor
stuff
bastard. Jordan Peele's
he's
going to get all the credit.
he's done. Well, I know absolutely, and that's what I saw on Twitter was a tweet saying, in quotes, produced by Jordan Peele, and then someone going, "Oh, so he directed it," And I think that's what a lot of like,
Right.
I think a lot of just regular, like your average theater goer seeing this movie is going to come away from that trailer going, "Oh, I'm so excited for the new Jordan Peele movie." Um,
Exactly.
but he's just producing it. I think the other movie I've seen him as just a producer on was the Candyman reboot, um, which
Right.
which
I like that.
I thought it was pretty decent. It definitely felt like it had some of his fingerprints on it, but it didn't feel like the next Jordan Peele movie, right?
No, it felt like it was for the first, like the opening credits were cool.
Yeah.
And I like the scene where she gets dragged out the window by the Candyman. And that was like, I
Um,
like the movie, but that was the only moment where I was like, I could see Jordan Peele's fingerprints on this part of it. I
I guess
forgot that he was really attached to that.
he also was a producer of Black Klansman and Monkey Man. He got Monkey Man made for sure. Black Klansman, I think, maybe
Right.
more of a learning experience working with Spike Lee. But I do
Yeah.
remember seeing his name put on Monkey Man. He definitely got that movie
Right.
made. So nice to see Jordan Peele like putting his name on stuff, helping things get a
Right.
bigger audience than they probably otherwise would have. The other name I want to mention here, amongst the cast, besides Marlon Wayans and Tyreek Withers, who's our star here, our star quarterback guy. He's also looks like he's set to appear in the I Know What You Did Last Summer reboot coming also this
Oh,
year. But the
right.
name I want to say here is Julia Fox, which we did not see in the trailer.
Right.
I don't. Did we see her in the trailer at all?
She's the goat.
Oh, she is.
No, I'm kidding.
Oh, I
No.
was like, what? I don't remember that.
She's the goat woman. It's
I
actually a
don't.
woman.
Okay,
That's what she
maybe.
looks like now.
Honestly, wouldn't put that past her. But I don't think we
No,
saw her in the
at
trailer,
all.
so I'm just looking at the cast here. Julia Fox. It will be interesting to see which Julia Fox we get. I just recently saw her in Presence, the Steven Soderbergh movie, shot from the perspective of a ghost. She was in that for about a minute in the very beginning, so just
Okay.
quick in and out. Wasn't doing anything crazy, but
Just how the mighty have fallen. She was
she was
the
Josh
next big
Saftey's muse in
thing.
Uncut Gems, according to
Absolutely.
her.
So
Um,
that's interesting career path.
right. Okay. So, anything else on him before we move along here? Definitely an interesting trailer.
No, just I like and I agree with you. Putting your name on a Candyman if you're Jordan Peele, on a
Hmm.
Monkey Man. Ryan Coogler, we were just talking about Ryan Coogler doing Judas and the Black Messiah
Hmm.
and putting his name all over that. And I think it's really cool when directors support other directors like this. So even if it does maybe get Jordan Peele a lot of the credit, um, it definitely pushes this movie more than it would be pushed. Like
Absolutely.
if this was a trailer for a movie and it didn't have Jordan Peele's name attached to it, I don't know how excited I would be. Because I'd just be like, okay, I'll figure it out, and maybe this makes it a theater experience more than I'll buy it if it has good word of mouth, or I'll
Mm.
go if it has good word of mouth. This makes me want to go for it, regardless of how it's being received, just because I'm more interested in it. So if that can get it, you know, 5, 10 more tickets from each city a day, that's nice, right? From us moviegoers that look at names and look at these kind of things. I think that's what that's supposed to do. So it's doing its job by having his name on there.
And people are always asking for like original stories that aren't part of like IP
Right.
franchises or based on other things or whatever. And this looks like it could be that, right? Like it's a
Yeah.
story I've never really seen before in a movie. I think it's obviously something that's going to be very referential to the times that we live in, like what someone is truly willing to do to achieve like the level of stardom and greatness and fame that these like top tier NFL players achieve. And obviously we're commenting on like all like today's like athletes with even the title him, like I'm him, like that has
Right.
really been a big thing over the past 4 or 5 years or so. Something that I think is
Right.
very played out at this point and kind of silly. But maybe they're gonna that'll be
There's a
part
lot
of
of
the
hymns out there.
right. There's a lot of I'm him, I'm him. It's like okay, well I don't really think you are, but whatever. But yeah,
Okay, Landry Shamet. Like,
right.
just sure.
Yeah, but this I think this has a chance to like do the Jordan Peele thing of commenting on the times that we live in fun and interesting and creative ways while being creepy and fun and really entertaining and
Right.
yeah, had no thoughts towards this movie at all before this trailer and I kind of just I actually saw it going to see Sinners on Thursday having
Oh,
never
cool.
having knowing really nothing about it, just like a brief knowledge of what this movie might be, and just being confronted with the trailer and being like, oh shit! Like I literally thought it was a commercial at first for fucking
Yeah.
Under Armour or something,
Right.
and then I'm like, oh okay, like wow. And then our friend Chris Smith,
Protect this house.
Chris texted me like the next day and was like, have you seen the trailer for him? And I'm like, yeah, it looks interesting. It looks like something I might want to check out now. So
Yeah.
good for them. Good for these guys.
Yeah, I think Jordan Peele wouldn't put his name on it if he didn't think it had a chance to be really good
Mhm.
as well. So
Well, he
I
hasn't put
think,
his name on anything bad yet, so
right, he's just such a good stamp of approval already in his short career. So I I agree with everything you've said. I think we're both so much more invested in this movie than we ever would be without his name there. And excited to see how this director does and what the story that unfolds will be. It's obviously, sorry, going to throw us for some loops. So let's see what they are.
yeah, I think let's stay on the horror trend here and let's go right on over to 28 days or 28 years later. We got a new trailer for
Yeah.
that recently. I think just more of the same for me, honestly. I don't think we had any big revelations in this trailer or a lot of really new information, just a few new scenes, that same kind of tone poem, that same kind of driving um refrain that was over the first trailer that was so effective, I think.
Yeah.
And yeah, we also got some Ray Fiennes narration, I think, some Ray Fiennes voiceover. So yeah, I thought this looked great. Not that I needed a second trailer. I don't even really want to watch anything else about this movie. I just
No,
want to
me
go see
neither.
this movie already.
The big revelation that I had is like, oh yeah, it still looks great.
Yeah.
Like that was my, and I knew it would, but I watched it right before this. I didn't even know there was a second trailer. I'm not in a bad way, just trying to stay away from this movie, like because I want to experience it truly in the theater. And this trailer didn't give much away, but you heard me watching it. I was like, oh yeah, yeah. Like there was a ton of
Hmm.
moments where I was, just buying right back into to why I love this franchise and why it's just so cool that we're getting this movie this year. I still can't believe it that this movie is coming out this year. I won't believe it till I'm sat in the theater. Um, and so that's all my thoughts on 28 Days Later. Like, don't show me anything else. Um, I am there. I am
Yep.
physically there, even if I'm, no matter where I am, I'm ready to be there in that theater for 28 years later.
Yeah, something I also forgot about, like that I was reminded on with this trailer, just kind of going into the credits and looking at stuff like I do, is that we're getting a sequel to this movie next year. Were you aware of this?
Really? No.
Yeah, 28 years later, The Bone Temple. We're getting we're getting the
Okay.
next year.
From Boyle.
Yes, well, from Garland and Boyle. Yes. Let me double
Dude,
yours. One sec. But yes, it's another one. Like,
that's awesome.
so okay. Let me just say here. No, I'm sorry. Nia DaCosta. That's right. Nia DaCosta
Oh,
is
the
doing part two.
director of Candyman.
Candyman reboot.
There you go.
Yes, exactly.
She's a good director.
He's a good director. That movie looked amazing. Felt really like well crafted and like was a
Yeah.
very very strong debut. Nia DaCosta doing 28 years later, part two, The Bone Temple, tentative title, and then
Breaking
right
news.
beneath that, I'm seeing here on Letterboxd. Who knows if this will actually come out? 28 years later, part three, directed by Danny Boyle. Not yet dated. So this could be a big thing for us, like for the
Oh yeah.
next few
Yeah,
years.
that's
Let's go.
what an interesting franchise. And
I
yeah, let's
know.
such a let's go. Yeah, I mean, we didn't know about this franchise growing up because we were kids, and it was, just a thing that we discovered on our own through loving film, and now we're just getting fed this awesome
Right.
franchise out of nowhere. What feels like 28 years later for us, right? And so, like, let's
Yeah.
go. There's no other saying on our end.
And yes, these prospective sequels are both written by Alex Garland. Second one is produced by Danny Boyle, not directed. Third one directed by Danny Boyle. So yeah, fucking hyped for
You
that.
know how I feel about Garland. He
Yeah,
is my,
baby.
yeah,
Right.
he's top two and he's not two.
I don't really have much on this trailer other than that. Um, not much else to say then. If you're listening to this, go see this movie when it comes out because it's
Please.
gonna fucking rip.
Yeah.
Um, one
Yeah,
more.
I don't have any doubt. I don't have anything.
No.
There's little things in the Fantastic Four movie because I'm such a fan that I'm just looking for like, okay, maybe this won't work. There's Eddington shows me and I like it. But I know there's things that, there's a lot left up for error there. But all the 28 years later trailers have just shown me like, oh, this entire movie is going to be well crafted, well written, well put together, made with a purpose, made with care, uh, and just awesome. Like
Yes,
it's
sir.
going to rip.
Yes,
So
sir.
yeah,
Last horror trailer that I want to mention, staying on the horror vibe just for a little bit longer. Last one, is Bring Her Back. This
right.
is the follow-up to Talk to Me, which came out in 2023. I want to say, pretty sure it was 2023. But Talk to Me, or that was 2022. Talk to Me was the debut feature from Danny and Michael Philippou. They are two Australian YouTube filmmakers,
Yeah,
former YouTube filmmakers who burst on to like the indie horror scene with Talk to Me in 2022. One of the scariest movies I've seen in a while, probably the scariest movie of that year. Not only
yeah.
was it scary, but it was a fucking fun, rip roaring time. I mean, super mean and fucked up, and with a great premise, and with like a great modern premise that really
It didn't cheapen itself ever.
no,
It didn't take that. So many movies, especially horror movies, take that third act and just take a step back or like lean too far into their premise or don't embrace it enough. And it just walked the line so well of like what the movie needed to be in its third act and had some ballsy choices along with it without going completely off the rails, like keeping you on track, throwing you a loop and servicing the movie. Like for their first real big film like that was just so impressive. So I had forgotten to check up on them, knowing like after the first movie, after Talk to Me, that I would be checking up on them or that they'd be back on my radar at some point. So I'm glad they are, because I can't say enough about Talk to Me. It's a fantastic movie. I was in Australia when it was
mm,
coming out and getting a speak, so a little bit of immersion, maybe not quite the immersion of being in an Airbnb for Barbarian, but definitely immersion nonetheless.
yeah, I think they were in talks to do some IP stuff. I can't remember what off the top of my head, but these guys were in talks after Talk to Me to do some like big like franchise IP stuff or something like that. Um, that fell through, so now we're back with Bring Her Back, their follow-up, which I again was just kind of confronted by in the theater. I knew this movie was coming. I hadn't seen the trailer until all of a sudden I'm watching Warfare and I'm watching the trailer for Bring Her Back, and I'm
Yeah.
like halfway
Surprise.
through
Yeah.
I'm like, oh shit, like
Oh
right,
yeah.
right, let's go. um this movie looks super fucked up and scary, just like Talk to Me. Looks like it's gonna use like some VHS, old scary like VHS footage in there. Um, it's some
Cool.
sort of, I don't know if it's a demonic possession movie or what's going on here. I mean, the synopsis says a brother and sister uncover a terrifying ritual at
Yeah.
at the secluded home of their new foster mother. It looks like it's some sort of thing where like she talks about the soul being trapped in the body for a certain amount of time after death, and so maybe they're going to be trying to like resurrect this kid that dies or something. And when he gets resurrected, he's all fucked up, and there's some weird demonic shit going on with him. But um, yeah, it's starring Sally Hawkins, and man, this just looks like a perfect follow up to Talk to Me. I don't think I would
Cool.
be nearly as excited about this movie if I hadn't seen Talk to Me and I didn't know what these guys
Right.
were capable of. But yeah, this just looks like it's going to be more of the same, and I'm ready for it.
I think I'm not gonna watch this trailer at all. I haven't yet. Talk to Me was such a great surprise in what it was about for me and when I figure out the message, and a movie that respected its audience so well. Like, it didn't treat us like a bunch of bimbos there to watch a horror movie. It really did delve into what it needed to about its premises without the movie didn't get caught up in its own rules either. Like, it didn't try and over explain or like where the hand came from. Like, it just very much like, oh, I bought it from another guy. Like, okay, I don't need to know the
Mm-hmm.
lore of all of
Mm-hmm.
it. I need to know the situation we're in now with the characters because you wrote some good characters and I care about them. And so balancing all that writing together and being a pleasant surprise for me after hearing good word of mouth and not watching any trailers and buying in and just hearing, oh, this movie's scary as hell. Like, you're gonna be so scared. And
Mm-hmm.
it was awesome. And I want that same experience out of Bring Her Back. So I think I'm just gonna stay hands off. Um, and I'm so glad like you brought this to my attention because I knew I was gonna be back in these directors' vision and what they were doing next at some point. I'm so glad I know they're kind of tasked to do a Talk to Me too, or there's
I think that will
some
happen.
inklings about it, right? But I'm glad they're not just following it up with Talk to Me too. I want to see what else they have in their bag. And we need original horror like Zach Kreger, like the Philippou,
Mm-hmm.
what the twins there. I think they're making great movies, and I want to see more variety in their bag. Like, I want to see them grow as directors from movie to movie, and awesome. I'm glad it hit your radar in the theater too. That's like one of the best places to watch a new
Right.
trailer when you don't know anything about it. Like, just, oh, and we're rarely surprised by stuff nowadays, just with how much access we have to trailers. So that's a pretty cool experience to see it right before Warfare as
Mm.
well.
Yeah, I just wanted to mention they were attached to direct a Street Fighter remake, reboot, whatever.
Okay,
Um, and I guess after the success of Talk to Me, they turned down Street Fighter to like do some more stuff in that vein,
good for
which
them
yes,
because it probably
absolutely.
sucked, and they just wanted to get their names out there for
Yeah.
stuff.
And they've also been rumored to be attached to a Hellraiser reboot or a spin-off of some sort.
Oh,
So that could be interesting, but
I'd like
I don't
that.
know if that's
Yeah.
going to go anywhere. It says here the rights ended up elsewhere, so I don't know if they will ever get to do that. But yeah, interesting developments. Do we want to go over to Mission Impossible now? We got our last Mission Impossible trailer. Do we want to talk about that
Yeah, I just one last time.
one last time?
They've been abusing that clip, and
He
rightfully
he
so,
needs
because
us.
he needs us. He's talking to me and you. Like, he's talking all you watching.
Exactly.
He's talking to all of us.
Talking
He
to all of
needs
us.
us. One last time, guys. One last time. And Cody needs you for his box office draft as well.
Yes.
In this. So, dude, like, I will I will go rounds for this movie. Like, I will not be there once. I will not be there twice. I will definitely be there more than three or more times. Um, it's one of the most expensive movies ever made, apparently.
I think over 400
Tom,
million dollars is the reported budget.
right. Tom Cruise has gone all out on marketing for this movie, and I just hope it gets what it deserves. It's a month away. It's May 23rd, so it's, 32 days from this being recorded. We're in the end game now, right? We're in the final stretch before we get the last Mission Impossible movie. What the hell's gonna happen, man? Like, that's part of it too, is like, how are we gonna get a send off to Ethan Hunt? And again, he needs us. He needs us one last time. I will be there for Ethan no matter how he needs me.
Yep. The big takeaway for me with this trailer was we're getting Ethan Hunt plugged into the entity. Like there's like some sort of like face
Cerebro.
thing. Yeah, he's putting on a mask and it's gonna inject the entity into his mind or well, I don't know what
So
the hell's going
badass.
on there,
I
but
don't care.
I was like, fuck.
Like Professor Xing the entity.
Yeah. I also I think I saw something on Twitter, Instagram, and someone went through and screenshotted each different still that we get during that scene.
My
And you can
God.
go through and see, what he's actually seeing in that sequence where it's like a bunch of images like rushing past his eyes or whatever.
Right.
Um yeah. I took a look at it. I don't really think it gives away much. They're definitely like there's some interesting stills in there though. It's stuff that is going to happen or maybe is going to happen or has already happened or whether there's a lot of like different stuff to read into there. Like if you get a lot actually if you look through those stills about like what might happen in this movie. But yeah, I wonder what's going to happen with that. Just him being plugged into that thing. That's my main takeaway here, other than him
Dude,
hanging off the plane too. But yeah,
these movies look so crisp too. Like they still just
yes,
look so clean. Like I remember watching Fallout in the theater might be for me like a top 5 theater experience of my lifetime. Like I don't know if that'll be beat, but just remembering like this is just a movie, man. Like
right.
this is a blockbuster. This is what a modern blockbuster should look like, should feel like, should sound like. And Tom Cruise's commitment to this franchise feels undying. We'll see what the result of this movie is. The mission is very possible when Ethan Hunt is on the case, and it's a month out. I'm just ready now. We've waited long enough. Um, I've been starved of Mission Impossible. It feels like at this point, even though it's been just 2 years, I'm
Yeah.
so ready for this.
I also want to shout out Nick Offerman, who I did not know was in this movie.
Yeah, just
I don't
collection
know
of
if he was in the
dudes.
first trailer yet. He was got another guy added to the list. And I like his voiceover in the beginning when he's talking about all the different stuff that Ethan Hunt has done. They also say that some explosion in one of the other movies was meant to kill him. So they were
Right.
trying to kill him or something, or I can't remember.
Yeah.
They were like inside job trying to kill Ethan Hunt. That was like something that stood out to me.
Shame on them.
And then I just like the part where he goes, and he bombed a security briefing, and that was only 2 months ago. It, this movie is not. We're picking up right where we left off,
Right.
and I just like them going through the whole list of all the stuff that he's done. Feels like we're building to like some sort of culmination of the Mission Impossible franchise.
Well, just the classic collection of guys in that room too, just like giving their reaction shots, and it's just like these. This is the best reaction shots you could ask for. I'm just the cast they've brought along the way in all these movies has been second to none for franchise movies of just filling each little hole that the movies need. Haley Atwell being a part of that too. Just absolutely killing it and just fitting like a glove into the last movie. And like, why was she not in these movies sooner? Just it's Mission Impossible, dude. I'm there. Like, I don't need the trailer. Great. I don't need it. I'm already 100% committed to whatever Ethan
Exactly.
Hunt needs me to do to make this movie successful. Like, I will do anything. Um, I would go for like another clip of Tom Cruise ranting on set rather than a trailer because I think that
Sure.
was hilarious during COVID times about him. You will not fuck this up, and then knowing what Dead Reckoning ended up being, it's kind of a shame that he went on that rant for a movie that is seen as a failure, but ultimately I think will be
It was a good
judged
movie.
very
Good
kindly.
movie.
Absolutely great movie,
Yeah.
right? Like it's going to be judged very kindly in years to come, and Cerebro Professor X Ethan Hunt is going to be a sight to behold. It stands no chance against him, dude. The entity stands not a chance against Ethan Hunt. It is so fucked. It does not know what it's being plugged into. So screwed.
Yeah. It's also I am happy that we're going to be concluding this kind of two movie arc, because we had
Yeah.
no conclusion really at the end of Dead Reckoning. It's very much a part one. Yeah, it was originally supposed to be Dead Reckoning part one and part two. Marketing reasons changed that. But this very much is the part two to Dead Reckoning's part one. So yeah, I'm really happy to see the conclusion.
Sorry, Palm Clementieff was another
Oh, right.
really good inclusion as someone, she plays Mantis in the
Yep,
MCU.
yep.
Vanessa Kirby as well was just a great inclusion in this franchise. Isai Morales, like there are so many great inclusions beyond just Ving Rhames, Simon Pegg, like people that I just want to see where their character's at as small or big as their character is. So they've just chosen such great people to surround Ethan Hunt with. And as much as like we're there for Ethan Hunt, like the reason I return to these movies is the other characters around him and just the situation and the overall picture of what's going on around this guy is always just so interesting. It's always a mixed bag around him. It's always betrayal and spies, and you need different hats to wear different people to wear different hats in different movies, and they've all done that so well. So just to the whole cast, congratulations. I'm like I feel like I'm celebrating early just by seeing these trailers. Like I'm
Yep.
just so ready for this. I know we'll be able to see it together, which I am hyped for. I still have videos from us going to see Fallout together and just on the way there, being excited on the way back, not knowing what to do with ourselves, like driving in circles, excited. And I'm ready for that experience again.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to it. It can't come soon enough. Do we want to shift gears here a little bit and talk about The Last of Us,
Talk about some
episode
golfing.
2, season 2, episode 2, Abby goes golfing. Yeah.
Yeah. Mylod.
Yeah, Mark Mylod, yeah. The director of this episode, guy who has directed a lot of fantastic episodes of television, going back to Succession. Also obviously, I don't think was he Jesse Armstrong created Succession, but Mark Mylod is
Right.
very much involved in all
Very
the
much
aspects of
hands
that
in.
show.
Yeah.
And yeah, I have seen a lot of divisive reaction to this episode. Obviously, because the main thing that happens in this episode,
It's
of
just
course,
divisive.
is that Joel is killed in this episode, which we knew was coming. We played the game. Haven't played all through the game. I've played about halfway through. So I'm interested to see where this show kind of, when it goes past what I know is going to happen. But obviously I knew this was coming. I had a feeling we were going to get it in about episode 2. If you just kind of track through the game, it feels
play
like
it out.
that
Yeah.
would be about first episode, second episode. And yeah, you've realized very early on, if you've played the game, that this is the episode that Joel is going to be killed in. The big kind of revelation of the game of this season. That's what everyone's going to talk about. What do you got to say about it?
Well, just this is what when you make a Last of Us show, it's funny because this is kind of there are moments throughout each game, but this is the moment. Even when you're making the first season of the show, like this is what it all kind of leads up to in a weird way. Like this is the inciting incident of all inciting incidents in the second season and where they're going to progress the show. I thought maybe they were going to drag it out a bit because they were going to split the second game into 2 seasons. So I thought maybe they're going to restructure it, and I respect just again, it's weird, like it's following the game more or less, but it's a ballsy choice to do it again in a very similar way.
Mm-hmm.
And just it struck the internet like a lightning bolt last night, just
Right.
ripping people's hearts out. Just crazy, like where to start. I think the whole episode was structured like the game and just put people in scenarios like Abby tracking them, falling down, being chased by the zombies. I like the choice to have Tommy off in the town actually,
Right.
and defending the town. I think that sets up for some interesting stuff later. Like a lot of people are complaining about little things that were changed from the game. Brother, you can go play the game. Like, and
Mm-hmm.
it's so funny because you can see those same people who did not like the game at the time, and now revisionist history, it's aged on them or this and that. But you remember Last of Us 2 coming out, like it was very divisive.
It was.
And it's still like has people that very much hate it, but then they don't, but then they want it to play out the same too. And it's just, you can't appease everybody. I think for what the episode was and what it had to accomplish, um, this was a really good version of it.
Yeah, I
Um,
thought so too. I think in the game, right, Tommy is with Joel when Joel is killed.
yes.
And that's a
Yeah.
whole nother kind of emotional thing going on there where Tommy has to watch Abby kill his brother.
Right.
In the game or in the show, Dina is with him instead, which I don't think is a bad choice at all. Like you
Right.
said,
Give Dina more to do.
yeah, Dina is like, I think they're obviously going to lean more into her as a character. Like in this
Yeah.
show, I think she's going to get a pretty big role to play here. So Tommy is in in the town protecting from the horde of zombies, which I don't really remember happening
No,
in the
that
game.
that doesn't happen.
It doesn't happen,
So
right?
that's all the show. And that
Uh-huh.
was something they talked about after is like we wanted the town to be vulnerable. And to me it makes I don't want to compare as much. Like we'll compare little things, but I don't want to compare like if Joel's death is more tragic or not. It was something I was thinking about when watching because he thinks the town is being destroyed,
Uh-huh.
in that moment. And
Uh-huh.
so they get in there and he's like, all right, we got 3 minutes. We're going back out. I'm like, oh my God. Like him just, that's all he's thinking about is the town. I think people are really upset about Tommy not being there. And they're like, the whole thing is that he feels grief of Joel's death. And I'm like, I think him being Joel's
I think he will
brother,
still feel
he
grief.
will still feel grief.
Yeah.
And it gives it an interesting new path. And when Tommy chooses eventually in the season to maybe leave the town, depending on what version of the story we get, it'll give him more of a tie to the town as well and leaving his people and being conflicted through that. So I think it sets up his character like we should get a little twist like this. We should get a little something different. Like if I wanted to play the game again, I could play the game again. In fact, I am, and I'm having a good time playing it again. And I think for me, even being torn on the game at the time, like my revisionist history is like, damn, this game has some pretty good writing. I think in the TV format, it has to play out differently. You have to know Abby's motivations, where in the game it is a shock. And then the hardest part about the game is that you don't get any of Abby's motivations, then you have to play as her and you just play as this
Right.
girl and it leads up to and it's like, oh, the realization in the game is a big moment. The realization that what Joel meant to Abby, um, and killing her father. And I just think like
I think
that's
that could have been an interesting way to let things play out though in the show though,
I
would
don't
be to
know
do it
if
the same
TV
way.
audiences would like the general audience that they have for the show. I don't know if they'd latch onto that as well.
It
And
might be the
I don't
same thing where you're stuck with
and
a character that you don't like and you don't have
yeah,
any motivation for them.
and it would be extremely hard for people not to spoil that part of it. I think
Mm,
the video game community, put your crown on. You did a great job not spoiling Joel's death. I think everybody did a pretty good job. I saw a
I
lot of
agree.
reaction tweets about like how'd you keep this secret for 5 years and all this stuff. And I think people did a good job at not spoiling the death. But the Abby's motivation part just gets into this gray area, and I think it just muddled up the initial reception to the game, especially. And now people go back, and all these people who hated it loved it, which you're allowed to change your opinion, but I think it's weird to shit on the show after you shit on the game when it came out, and it's like it's just a flat circle of
Mm.
time. But I think as far as an episode, I couldn't have asked for a more entertaining hour of television and stakes and drama and character choices and just guts from a director. And it felt like the game. The scene where Abby's
That
crawling
was
and the fence
literally
is
like
caving in
a
on her.
ripped
That's
out of
one
the
to
video
one.
game. Yes.
And so you get your scenes that are ripped from the game, which should be, that scene should be ripped and put on there.
Uh-huh.
Um, and I love Joel just as a character saving Abby without question, right? And getting her on there. And it shows like, it's so interesting to see Joel's different motivations and character things come into play right before his death, like about him having to kill Eugene off screen, and maybe he didn't make the right choice at the hospital, and seeing, her kind of reaction to her father's dead body at the hospital, that nightmare that she has that's reoccurring throughout the games. Um, Maybe making the audience question a bit of, we all love Joel, but it does question and start that theme really early of the circle of violence. Ellie being 19, Abby being 19, all these parallels. And it's like, maybe it's just good writing that's really hard to face, no matter how it's portrayed. I
Uh-huh.
think a lot of people were never going to be satisfied, but I think for the TV version, they did a good job. And again, I think it takes balls from Druckmann to write it this way in the game. It takes balls from Craig Mazin to write it this way in the show and duplicate it. And it takes balls from Mark Mylod to throw his hat in the ring again after Connor's birthday and Logan Roy in Succession, the finale of Succession, like all these great episodes of television throughout the years, some episodes of Game of Thrones. He throws his ring in the hat for this and does a great job. So kudos to him again. Just showing I don't think there's anybody better in TV right now.
No, I think you're right. As far as like TV directors go, I think Mark Mylod is at the very top of the totem pole, maybe with one or two other guys, but he's right
He's
up
your
there for
first call.
sure.
He's who you want.
Absolutely. Um, I really liked how this episode looked. I thought the cinematography was great. I mean, this
Oh
show
yeah.
is obviously very well crafted and has looked amazing from episode one. But I loved all the stuff in the snow, some of the bird's eye view shots, especially at the end, that kind of overhead bird's eye shot of Ellie and Joel like
Yeah,
Ellie laying
that
on
was
Joel.
tough.
Um, yeah, I thought the show looked amazing, felt cool. Obviously, we get a really big like action sequence too, a big set piece to that the episode really kind of hangs its hat on. It's not just the episode where Joel dies; it also is intercutting with something that's not from the game, like you said, a
Yeah.
whole siege on the town by
I feel like
this
Helm's
giant
Deep,
horde of infected.
Lord of the Rings. It reminded me of the episode of Game of Thrones, The Watchers on the Wall, about the Knights on the Wall, the Night's Watch, when they're defending their stuff from the Northmen. Like, I was like, it's a cold defense of people trying to break a wall. Like, that's just it writes itself. And HBO, man, like life is better. We said it already, but life is better when they have a show on Sunday nights. That's just appointment television.
I would say
It was just the stakes,
this is
the
one of my
stakes.
personal favorite episodes of the show so far. I think this is one of the best
I think it's been
episodes
the
we've
best
gotten.
one.
I think it's right up there. Maybe it is the best one. Maybe it's right up there. There's maybe a couple other ones. The obvious one that jumps out to me is the Nick Offerman like spin-off like side
Yeah,
episode, right? It was episode
yeah.
3, I think, of the first season.
And that
Um,
was cool because that took its own liberties with the game, right? Very,
right.
very much so in that case. And that's what was cool too is in having this TV show, we get to explore new things about the game or different scenarios in the game without changing the story and the themes and all this. And we can play with stuff like that, and it's okay. It's gonna be okay for the people that are torn to shreds about it not being a one-to-one remake. I think this is like episode one stands out, all the little twists they did, and how they just nailed it from the start with episode one of season one with the death of Joel's daughter, with the initial. I'll never forget that initial scene of the news broadcast and the person's talking about fungi and how they
Mm.
grow,
Yeah,
and then
right.
episode three being that pleasant surprise with Nick Offerman. And I think this is the best one since those two episodes, and not at all in a way of like we both. I think so much nowadays you say like this is the best since this, and it's like oh well the in between must not have been good. This has been a great show,
Yeah.
like through and through. There hasn't been an episode that I haven't thought highly of, and this was a like a bar setter.
Yeah. A few questions I had. I guess my main question is why does this town not have any like explosives besides like their barrels where they
Right.
roll barrels of I don't know what that's supposed to be, gas or whatever, some sort of flammable liquid, which why are you wasting that? But they roll them out there into the horde of zombies and shoot them and blow them up. Um, but like there's no IEDs, we don't have any hand grenades, we have like stocks full
Right.
of AR-15s and rifles and all this stuff. We have flamethrowers, but we don't have like grenades or some sort of like homemade bombs or something. That's just like one thing that I was thinking about
Yeah.
because that would have been a lot easier to defend that place if they had some explosives. But yeah, the town eventually gets overrun, not completely overrun, but the zombies, the infected break through the wall. They kind of run through the town, infect a lot of people, kill a lot of people. Um, and Tommy almost dies, but he does manage to burn
Right.
the big giant guy.
Oh, I
And
was
then
clenched up like the whole time. The whole siege on the town. I wrote like action is great, but it's
yes.
terrifying
Oh,
because
yes,
the
yes.
whole time I was just intense by it. There were so many audible oh shit moments. Oh shit, and this is awesome, and oh shit, and we're in a horrible position.
Well,
You
it's
know,
funny because I actually was like, because the Joel thing is like so well known if you know the games and you know it's gonna happen. I was kind of like having fun with that scene because like she's gonna
right,
do it. There's
right.
nothing, nothing that like no, you can't do anything to change it. Joel can't save himself. Like what's gonna happen. But the siege on the town, like fuck, that's completely new to us, right? We don't know what's gonna
Right.
happen. I was really like scared for everybody in that
Oh
town.
yeah, yeah.
I thought maybe the
Because
whole town was gonna get overrun and they were gonna get
I
completely
thought so
wiped out.
too, right? And I think it was cool because um in the snow, you couldn't even tell who was who at some points, especially
Mm.
on the rooftops,
Right. I was
where
thinking the
like
same
she's just
thing.
firing into stuff,
I
and
was thinking
they're
the
like,
same thing.
you don't, and people were running, like even the humans, you're like, wait a minute, like, did she just
Does
shoot the
she
wrong
even know who
person?
she's
You know, like
shooting? Yeah.
that just showed the mess of what this battle was for the town. I think all of it just serves its purpose so well. I don't, it's like it was so action packed as an episode, but it wasn't action for action's sake. It was very much serving its purpose, which is so hard to nail and is so cool that it showed just different little sides to the battle and to the circle of violence with Joel, and I think the show's just better for it.
Yeah. We have arrived, I think, at the point
Yeah.
where everyone was kind of waiting for. So I am happy that it happened in episode 2. Like I said, I kind of felt like it was going to, because that way we can just get this out of the way. Like it's going to be the big
Yes.
talking point for probably the rest of the season, anyways. But it's good to just get this out now. Everyone can talk about it. Everyone can know, and we can just like have a dialogue about it. Like you said, I think it is fun to see the
Yeah.
reactions of people who had no clue. I kind of wish that was me because I like I said, I was having fun with it. I was almost kind of
Right.
not rooting for Abby,
Well,
but
like
like
waiting for the moment.
right, like waiting for it to happen. And you notice that at a certain point, like Pedro Pascal amazing in this show. Sad that we're not going to
He
have him,
really is.
right? Like I wonder. I haven't finished the game, so I don't know if he shows up in a flashback or anything at some point in the game. If we get anything more from him, um, but I was wondering the same thing: is are we gonna? Has he shot anything else for this season? A flashback, a
Right.
dream, anything? Are we gonna get any more Joel in this entire series, or have we completely said bye to the character at this point?
He leaves in the game too. He leaves a massive hole in the game, and I think this is where the game does go just kind of downhill because it is so dark, and also because you do miss Joel in the
You miss
game.
playing as Joel. You
You
play
miss
with him
playing
for
as
the whole
Joel. Like
first game, pretty
he's
much.
he is your your character into this universe.
Yes, yes.
He is you. You are Joel. And so that's what tore a hole through people's hearts in 2020. But this will be a co-lead now with Caitlin Deaver, who, holy shit, she brought
Yeah,
it this
yeah. We
episode.
haven't talked about her, but yes,
For
absolutely.
sparingly being in the first episode and okay in the first episode, like nothing that showed me a red flag or anything, but very much just chips and little moments with her. She brought it. She nailed
Yes.
the "you don't get to rush this" line. Like
Uh-huh.
felt ripped from the game. Um, and Bella Ramsey as Ellie. Really good performance, I think, out of Bella Ramsey. She's on her own now without Joel, so I think
Hmm.
like her acting is really gonna shine through in the second half of the season. I hope. I know she's not gonna win the people over who are already against her for reasons stupider than her
Whatever.
acting, but I think this gives her a chance to be a shining star as an actress. So good for her. They're both taking on gargantuan roles now. Caitlin Deaver and Abby and Bella Ramsey as Ellie. I think there were little things about the Ellie reaction in the game that made it a little bit more brutal in the game, where Ellie, she's like a monster coming into that room and I'll fucking kill you. It's more of like her like slurring through words and being just an emotional wreck, but full of vengeance in that moment. And I think this Ellie was a little bit more just sad by the moment. And I kind of like where they already lay the seeds in the game that she is just going to be this monster of vengeance coming
Hmm.
up. Whereas in the show, I think they're going to build more to that maybe, where she's obviously going to be sad and torn apart, and she obviously said she's going to kill them. But I really like that they left her conscious too, because in the game she gets knocked out, and I enjoy that they let her, this is weird to say enjoy it, but see the whole death and
Uh-huh.
then crawl over to Joel, and we get that overhead shot, and that was amazing. A little nitpick, and this is the one nitpick that I agree with, the change from the game. The scene is shot very well, but the color grading is a little bit too bright for me.
Hmm.
I would have liked if it leaned into that more dark blue that the game had in that moment. I think the game just felt so gross and grimy in that moment and really like let you sit in with Joel's death just a little bit more and made it
Okay.
just even more disgusting. Um, but you see that golf club and it hits the same. It hits the same. It hits with force. She hits so hard that she rips the golf club up and doesn't in the game she kills him with the golf club, like
Hmm.
hitting him in the brain with it basically. In here she stabs him through the neck with the broken golf club, which is just no other word but brutal for that. That was uh, fun to watch in the sense like they're doing the thing, but not fun to watch at all at the same
Right.
time.
Yeah, really, really brutal death. Pretty, yeah, like you said, like very little minute differences from the game, but overall pretty much the exact same, besides the stuff we already talked about. I really
Yeah.
like the the moment. It's just like such like a heartbreaking the whole thing of Joel's death is obviously so tragic because Ellie has been like neglecting him,
Right.
ignoring him for so long, and then we even in this episode we get a moment where she says that maybe they're finally
Yeah.
starting to try to she's finally gonna like
Oh,
let
I
him back
know.
in, and
And that
then
wasn't in the games. Like that
right,
moment wasn't. They have a moment that you see later through flashbacks where they talk afterwards that same night that we were presented in episode 1, but they don't have a like a blank statement of
hmm
like maybe we're complicated, but we care about each other. I think
well
so
we
important
don't get
to
a scene
hear.
like that between them in the show either, right? We just get Ellie
Right.
mentioning that maybe did she say that they talked or was she even just like I mean I thought maybe that she was just kind of lying
Well,
to
she just stood up for him
if
too,
she
kind
stood up
of.
for him,
And
right?
she might be lying or telling herself that, but what she's saying is still very real.
Yeah, so I
And
maybe we
so,
will get a scene like that, like a flashback to that night. Maybe they did talk and we
right.
haven't seen it yet. But then getting Ellie coming in, seeing Joel like laying on the ground, just completely beat to shit, and you see him like realize that she's there, and he does like the slightest little like you just
He
his eyes kind
tries.
of move
He
a little, or he
tries,
moves his
man.
head just like ever so slightly. Pedro
That
Pascal
hurt.
just fucking amazing. So yeah,
It's
um,
still shocking. All these years later, it's still just it's such a gutsy decision and it's great writing. I don't it can great writing makes you feel like this. It makes you feel devastated. It makes you feel happy. It makes you feel all these different things. Obviously, you don't feel happy in this moment, but what I mean is great writing gets an emotional reaction out of you, and this serves the theme of the game and the theme of the overall story so well. I'm really excited to see what they go into from here because this is where the game I think fell apart in parts for a lot of people, where it didn't capitalize on its own themes and it just became so like dreadful to especially to play, right? To play it. But we can still have a dreadful show, but figure out our themes in a better way through the show. And I trust Craig Mazin to really explore all this because the things that he's added into the show have been really good, like the siege in this episode, like the extra episode with Nick Offerman in season 1. Those are the two namely things I think he's really added into the show or completely switched up. And he's going to put it in a place where I think he's not going to forget about the characters. He's going to only continue to build on them and not let any of these stories curtail off or become loose threads. I think it's all going to tie together into this beautiful, depressing, fucked up picture, and I'm ready to see how it plays out over the next 7-8 weeks. It's going to be a tough watch in the
yeah,
best way. In the best way.
yeah, that's really all I have on this episode. Is yeah, in a certain way, it will be tough to go forward, but we have to keep moving, just like Ellie and
Right.
everyone else. We got to keep moving. I'm just ready for the whole
Still
revenge,
hurts.
the revenge quest. Ellie, I'm ready for all that kind of stuff. Ready to see what Ellie does in response
Yeah.
to this and how she kind of moves on, and how the relationship between Ellie and Dina is going to grow. And I'm sure we'll
They're
get
setting that up really nicely.
they're setting it up very nicely. Dina obviously is going to have more of like a obviously she has like a very personal connection to Joel's death this time around because she was
Yeah.
there. She was with him when he died. They put her to sleep for an hour, which is very convenient. Don't worry, we're not going to kill her. We're just going
Right.
to put her to
For
sleep
one
for an
hour.
hour. For one hour. We have this weird
I
magic
promise.
milky
Yeah.
thing in a syringe where it's only all it does is going to put you to sleep for 1 hour. Um, but yeah, where do we go from here? We'll have to wait and see. But that's all I've got for this episode.
Just just grimy, gross, makes your heart again just break, shatter into a million pieces, it feels like. Joel, just one more note about Pedro Pascal and Joel nailing the shut the F up and do it already line. Just
Yes,
nailing that line.
yes,
Uh, ripped straight from the games. I like that she gave even more of a monologue this time about who Joel is and how you've ruined my life, and he could not care less to listen to her in that moment. And Abby's crew, even more grossed out by it than they are in the game. I think
yeah,
in the game they're more on board with it and more like, yeah, get like, well, not like cheering her on, but they're very much even shown later to be like, yeah, he deserved it type thing. And
Hmm.
here it is not that at all. They are very scared by her. So I think it gives a really cool rift in the crew. And going forward, they need to do something interesting with Abby because for the longest time in the game, you're just playing as her with not a lot happening and not a lot of conflict and not you're just in this endless pursuit of you play it back to get back to Joel and it's like, but I don't want to go kill Joel again, as the player. So you need to build something with her. And I think like as much as they realized Isabella Merced is a great Dina, they're realizing Caitlin Dever is Abby,
Yes.
is fully Abby. And I appreciate them embracing that. So I want to see them keep embracing that because that will be the best version of the show if they can get that performance out of her every week.
Well,
Man,
I agree.
that's a special performance.
I
That's
agree.
another level for her too. Um, she's always been a great actress. I think we've seen her in a lot of things that we like, and she's always been good in that.
Well, I
But
don't think we've ever seen her be mean
this was a
before,
different. No, she's
right?
always been uh
Like
weird, funny
funny, weird,
girl, kind
quirky
of
kind of thing.
off kilter. There's the Netflix show with her and Tony Collette where she's a victim in it, but she's still just off kilter. She's not that dark, mean, like
She's a fucking villain.
vengeful rage. Yeah, there's so much rage through the screen, and um, even when she's like, you just see her eyes, even when she's running, and you feel the cold outside. Like just the way she stands up with anger. When she slips off of the little hill with the snow, she stands up with so much purpose and like just. I'm relentlessly looking for this Joel, and now where do we go with her? Will be so interesting. I really think this is something they have the chance to correct in the show, and with Craig Mazin in charge of writing it, I'm sure they will.
Yeah. Any last thoughts? Anything else before we wrap it up?
Just I guess we're gonna have to watch it next Sunday, which is gonna
Let's
be
go.
uh maybe not a let's go, Cody.
Well,
That's
I don't
it's
know.
gonna be a painful watch, but we're gonna be there.
We'll be there.
Uh we're gonna swallow our pride and hope for the best in this post-apocalyptic universe.
All right. Yeah. As always, make sure to follow us on Instagram, Twitter at Cinema Cult Pod. Subscribe to us on YouTube. Add us on Apple Podcasts and Spotify, the Cinema Cult Podcast. And thanks for listening.